position. We have done that, so the recruitment for that is underway as well. And we do have a resignation from the Planning Commission, Aaron Weatherford, and so he is relocating, staff will be working on the process and looking for candidates for that. So we don't need them tonight, but we would very soon need someone to be able to serve for the selection.
You know, I'll point out real quick, Aaron was a CPAC member as well as a planning commissioner. Mm-hmm. He intends to show up for the planning commission meeting tomorrow, not to serve as a planning commissioner, but to, you know, be on hand in case he can lend any additional knowledge that he picked up during the comprehensive planning process. And he's moving out of the area. He put his house on the market, and it sold so fast, he's got to move in with local in-laws.
Oh, wow.
But they don't live in Gardner. I think that they're looking at other communities besides Gardner, but with any luck, we'll be able to find a place for him so that he can stay in town, if at all possible. So. But we'll certainly miss him. It was a short tenure, but he really dug in. So,
I have one quick question for Cheryl. Going back to the police chief search, you said they did the placement for Clayton.
Yes, they did.
What can you give us a real quick idea as to Clayton's demographics or size compared to us?
Demographics very, very different. Pretty affluent community outside of St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah. So they'd have to go back and talk with these candidates to see if it was Clayton that was the attraction, or is it the position, the next move that they're a deputy chief and are looking for a chief.
Sure.
But they have the ability to start to call on people because they're a headhunter, to be able to call on people that we would not be able to call on as quickly as they can.
Yeah, well, that's great.
And they did several other placements as well, so they have an applicant pool of people that are looking for chief positions that they can call on.
Good, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Got more? All right, council, anything for staff?
No.
Corey?
No, sir.
Larry, yes?
Yes, since we were having a discussion, Laura and Cheryl and I, about the water, the plumbing, CIP replacements to the Conestoga Park, and I think Dave, you presented some information a year or so ago, perhaps, and the CIP meeting or presentation that said that we would be on the hook for about $2 million worth of water lines. Does that ring a bell?
I recall we had estimates somewhere in that range. I can't remember, somewhere in the $1 million to $2 million.
But I think I asked the question then as to why the developer wouldn't pay for that, and at that time I remember the discussion centered somewhere along the lines that you can have a special assessment for sewer lines but not water. Is that, do you remember that? Or I guess I'm just trying to recall, because you said you were trying to figure out why we had that budgeted as a council, as a city expense when a developer could easily pay it. So I'm just curious, do you remember any of that, or?
I'm sorry to say I don't.
So as far as the CIP plan, do you have that in there as a $2 million expenditure?
No.
No.
So there's nothing in there for replacement at Conestoga at any point in time? Or is that part of maintenance?
Not for $2 million. We don't have a $2 million replacement of all those lines in the CIP.
I mean, we've put it in the initial draft. We actually put it in there. I mean, I think Dave had it in, and we continue to put that in there. I think it's been backed out for a number of years.
And one of the things we're trying to understand is we've been kind of looking for the agreement that where the city's into an agreement to do that. It's not typical. So we're trying to understand the requirement, the city's requirement for that replacement.
Right, and that's what's important to me to understand is, why is it still in the budget? Why would we be paying for it if a developer owns the land and the water lines are his responsibility?
We've been maintaining that water line. I mean, we go under trailers and fix water line breaks. I mean, for whatever reason, for an extended period of time, we have been maintaining that water system. It's under trailers, it's undersized, it's failing. We would abandon it in place and put new mains in along the roads themselves, but.
I think Dave remembers now how
As
the.
far as the details, what you have is when the trailer park was, or mobile home park was annexed, or the systems were taken over, the electric has the same issue. So basically, there are public systems, existing public systems. So I think that's the reason why that monies are being looked at as a maintenance issue, because they are a public system now. I can't tell you how or what the circumstances on accepting them were many, many years ago, but they're currently a public system. So that's why the city has to at least present numbers that this is a liability that we have.
So we are on the hook to pay for them? I mean, I guess
I don't know,
this is
the
a huge
question
number.
is, we wouldn't normally, the city's operation wouldn't normally be on the private property, so I really can't speak to the history. We're trying to understand how we might, you know, what our obligation is for the future.
Right, and I guess I would like clarity to that number before we get to the CIP, because if I still see it in there and it should be
Well,
paid for by the city.
It's not in there because we don't have an answer to the question of the city's obligation. So we moved it out so we could try to understand.
So clear, I mean.
It's not in there.
So pretty clear, it's clear that we don't really have an obligation.
Well, I don't know about that, because I don't know what kind of agreement that you would have, when you annexed it, I don't know what agreement the council approved. We haven't been able to locate an agreement that shows the obligation.
Well, normally would it be, part of an annexation agreement?
No?
I mean, it could be. As part of an annexation, you have to demonstrate that you're gonna, how you're gonna serve the area to be annexed, and so you have to have a service plan. And then, in fact, the county, we've received communication from them, you know, they're supposed to do audits, several years after the annexation to make sure that the, service extensions were completed, were appropriate. Basically, the county hadn't been doing that. They basically kind of assumed, well, if no one's complaining about it, it must be okay. But anyway, that's kind of a long-winded way of answering that. Service extension plans and service plans for city services certainly are and typically are part of annexation plans.
Okay, well, maybe we struck $2 million, or roughly whatever that number was, from an obligation. It sounds like, I mean.
Yeah, I think until we have a contract.
Possibility. Possible. Is there anything else you have, Larry?
No.
Christie? Steve?
No, we're good. All right, opened up enough cans of worms tonight.
I'd certainly entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion Harrison, second shoot that we adjourn. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you.
I think What is, when you do your annexation ordinance, your service extension plan should be included as part of the